Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Late Show with me, your host, Robbie. And of course, joining me, as will always be, is my cohort, Mini Bun. Mini Bun, are you there?
What's up?
Hey, how's it going? It's been a
It
minute.
goes well.
It's
It has been a
hasn't it?
minute.
This is only episode 2. Missed out on 2 weeks, unfortunately, due to
Not my fault.
ill-placed allergic sickiness and blah and stuff. Yeah, let me swap it over really quick to the main stream. How's it going, everybody? Whoops, I have Mini Bun's still up. Let's get her actual beautiful glowing face in here.
My beautiful pale white gonna blind you face.
Yeah, with what looks like green hair over the camera.
It's lightened a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hello everybody. This is the Late Show. This is only episode 2, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a rundown just in case you're new and want to know what the hell is going on here. So I am one of the hosts from the popular LimitBreakRadio.com, and of course here Final Encounter Cast, which is a show about gaming where we basically just get all up in your face and piss and moan and insult every possible thing that we possibly can think of. But tonight here at the Late Show, it's a little bit different. Obviously, it's just me and Mini Bun, and what we do here is we try to foster sort of a late night show setting here. You know, we talk with each other. You know, we make jokes and stuff at Mini Bun's expenses, and then we bring people from the chat here into the call. Some people you might be familiar with, some people you might not be familiar with. We bring them in and we talk to them about their gaming experiences, their gaming life, you know, what's been going on, blah, 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 stuff like that. Maybe once in a while we'll talk about some of the bigger headlines that are going on, if there's anything that I feel is worth talking about. But for now, I wanted to talk a little bit to Mini Bun, and I want to talk a little bit myself about what we've been doing these past 2 weeks as far as gaming goes, because I don't know about you, Bun, but there has been a lot of stuff that has recently came out for me, and I've been extremely busy. What about yourself?
I haven't really been playing any new games. I got really into Town of Salem again, which is like a...
I'm actually not familiar with Town of Salem. I mean, obviously it has something to do with witches.
Yeah, well, sort of. Actually, the main game doesn't have to do with witches. It has more to do with
witches. The
main game doesn't, but if you go into Chaos mode, there is a game mode called All Any or Vigilantics, which is... Vigilantics is everybody either plays a vigilante or a witch, and the witches can make the vigilantes shoot each other.
Is there magic at least?
Yeah, there is. It's turn-based. It's, if any of you are familiar with the tabletop game Werewolf, it's like that. You all get a role, and your role has a certain power to it, or it doesn't, depends what role you get, and you play by that role, and you're trying to figure out in the town who is with you and who's against you. So if you're playing like a town member, for instance, and you suspect somebody's a part of the mafia, well, you want to kill them before they start killing all your town members, so you lynch them during the day.
Wait, this is a video game?
Yeah.
This sounds like the game that I play with my family during Thanksgiving when we all just sit around and it's basically the exact same thing that you said, except everyone like closes their eyes, and then the werewolves get to open their eyes and pick someone to kill, and then when people open their eyes back up, you have to figure out who it is and try and kill someone. They turned that into a video game?
Yeah, it is a video game. It started out as a Flash game, and, well, a browser game to be more exact, and they ended up putting it on Steam because so many people wanted to play it with like their Steam friends, and their Steam friends wouldn't play it on browser, so...
Huh.
It's free, but you can buy like little cosmetic stuff for your people, or scrolls to like make sure that you to heighten the chances of you getting a certain role. It's really cool. I like that game a lot.
Cool. And I assume you've also been playing a little bit of Final Fantasy XIV.
A little bit. Man, I hate grinding for tomes.
I know you do. But look.
I'm very much a late game trial sort of person, so 2.x was perfect for me because I kept pony farming and that was fun for me, but Alexander Savage is not fun.
What you have to remember is that you are in a very unique position being where you are within our little community here because you can take advantage of our minions. Just pop into the link shop, be like, hey guys, I need to get some roulettes done, you know, who's coming with me? and everyone will put their hands up, and you'll be like, I want you, you, and you, let's go. And then you just steamroll through that shit like 2-3 times a day, and boom, you are set, and you can them all weekend long.
I could. Skuro, can you just give me more Diadem groups? That'd be great. Because I'll do that. Diadem to me is fun because at least you get to fly around places. But just doing the same dungeons over and over and over again is work.
Yeah. Not gonna lie to you there. And what about the game which we shall not name? Have you still been playing that?
A little bit, but I actually got more into Dota 2 lately.
Well, you know, as much as I hate both of those games, I'm gonna say that you playing the latter instead of the former is probably a win for us. So.
Yeah, so I don't know if any of you are familiar with Dota 2, but I play Brood Mother. She actually helped me get over my fear of spiders. I'm not scared of them anymore. But Brood Mother, you just like, what I like to say with Brood Mother is I just renovate their lanes. Because a lot of what you do is you just stay in one lane and continuously push it and just be a pain in the other team's ass.
Push it.
And that's, and so whenever your team gets in a team fight with somebody else, like I'm sitting here just taking towers and going, you need this renovated? Okay, I'll renovate this for you. It's fine. Like,
well,
you didn't want this tower?
Not to brag, but I'm gonna say that my choice of gaming recently has been a lot better. Oh no, please take a hit of your mouth, Fedora.
Will do.
Good. I'm glad that we did that. I've been playing a few more games that are a bit more AAA, I think. At least one of them is, right? Yeah. Yeah, a little bit more. Obviously, Rise of the Tomb Raider. I was playing that a lot over here. And on Limit Break Radio. Had to power through that because someone who will not be named Kooky and who is also not here tonight, I don't think, made a bet with me that I couldn't 100% that bitch by the time XCOM 2 came out. And guess what I did? 100%. Boom! Did it in 5 days with the use of no guides, which doesn't happen often. And then just yesterday, actually, well, Thursday night, Friday morning, whatever, yesterday, XCOM 2 finally came out, which both myself and Chris have been looking forward to since we played XCOM back last year around like must have been like the October, November-ish sort of region, right? So we've been waiting a long time for that to come out. And you know what? The last 3 big games that I've played, Fallout 4, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and now XCOM, right? They're all sequels. And they all have a lot in common despite being vastly different games. Now, they're all great games, don't get me wrong. They are absolutely amazing games, and I love all of them, and I have a lot of fun playing them. But you know what I've noticed from each of these games? Nothing's really changed, right? From Fallout 3 / New Vegas to Fallout 4. Yeah, obviously there are some big differences. You know, the crafting system and the settlement system, for example, right?
No more true chat options. That pissed me off.
And in Rise of the Tomb Raider, you know, they kind of refine things a little bit more. The way that you upgrade guns and stuff like that, I think, is a lot cleaner. The challenges and collectibles, there's a little bit easier to track them and stuff like that. And even with XCOM, like, you know, the combat sort of stays the same, and they've changed up the classes a little bit and a little bit of the moves here and there. And when you're back at the base, that's kind of the same, even though they've changed a bunch of stuff. And the biggest change is obviously like on the world map. So they're still great games, but very little is actually changed from game to game. You know, you go in and it kind of feels like playing the same game. And for me, when that happens in a game, it kind of stops the game from really pushing it to like a next level, you know. When you went from Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 2, obviously you still have the same feel of the game. The game has the same scope, but there was a big change in it. And the same thing from 2 to 3. And just seeing what I've seen from like The Witcher 1 and 2 to The Witcher 3, I think that's another one that does it. And I don't know, maybe that's a topic for another day to talk about, but it's just something that I noticed having played 3 different new big games now. And again, I enjoyed all of them, so this isn't like a gripe against the games or anything like that, but it was just an interesting little observation that I have.
I heard XCOM was really good, and I wish I played games like that, because I would probably enjoy it, but I don't.
Why not?
I can't wrap my head around games like XCOM.
You just said that you're playing a turn-based game right now.
Yeah, but it's like a chat-based game, and it's with other people. I don't know. It's way different than XCOM.
Okay,
Like,
so
I
imagine
get
playing your turn-based game, right? But you take all the stupid dumb people out, and then it's
okay.
just you.
That
Playing.
sounds terrifying.
No, it's not, because then everything hinges on you, right? So if one of your teammates dies or gets their head blown off, guess whose fault it is?
Have you killed me yet, by the way?
No, you're still alive.
Yay!
In fact, the only person who's died besides some in the tutorial, you automatically lose the 2 people that you command in the tutorial, which is dumb. And the mission after that, which is really tough because it's like just at the beginning, I did lose 2 people there. But once I started naming my people, the only person I've lost so far is Jink Juxta McNinja.
No.
And I have to explain this now. Okay, so at the beginning of the game, you can go to a character pool and you can make a bunch of characters. That then, as you go through the game, if you get supply drops that include characters, or if you rescue VIPs and they join you, they can be those characters out of your character pool, right? So I made Chris, and Chris made me, and we swapped character pools so that our characters would pop up in those pools. But if you get them as a rookie, everything that you made about them will change depending on what customization options are available as a rookie, because as you rank them up, more customization options become available. And when you become rank 2 squatty, you are randomly assigned a class instead of the class you chose before the game, right? So I was real upset because Chris wanted to be a sniper or a sharpshooter, and he ended up being a heavy, which has like the grenade launcher and stuff, right? So I'm like, oh well, I'm just gonna remake him, and I'll name this person someone else. So I turned the original Juxta into Jinx McNinja, but his nickname was still Juxta because you can't change that until like whatever the 3rd or 4th rank is. Well, he ended up dying before I had a chance to change that. So now he's on the memorial wall as Jinx Juxta McNinja, and I wrote his epitaph. It says, "Jinx, you were taken from us too soon, and nobody noticed because they all thought you were Juxta." Poor
Nice.
Jinxie. Yeah.
Poor
That's
thing.
actually something that both myself and Chris will be playing here on stream soon enough. And even if it's not something that you like to play, it is something that's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, because I kept getting notifications on my Facebook, like, look at Basinia Samurai Bun.
You got like
And I was
3
like,
notifications,
hell yeah.
and yes, you are a badass.
I felt awesome.
I've actually also made Shintasin. He is a specialist, but I haven't used him as much because he's still leveling up. I made Kuki, who's actually my highest level person. Who else do I have from the chat here? Melkiria. I made Melkiria. Nika, she's also in there. And I think everyone else that I've made is real life people that you guys wouldn't necessarily know. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So otherwise you've been trying to keep pretty busy then, huh?
Yeah, other than that, I've mostly been playing, or trying to get back into tabletop games, because I miss tabletop games.
Do you want to go ahead and tell us then about your Dark Heresy campaign?
Oh my god, it's amazing, guys. Okay, so if any of you know anything about Warhammer 40k, like, the Imperium of Man, the human race, is unified under the Imperial Creed, which is the worship of their Lord Emperor, or their God Emperor of mankind, and the Golden Throne. And so, I play a member of the Ecclesiarchy, and it's great. And I just burn people with fire, and I get super uncomfortable in any setting that is not... Okay, fine, Mr. Jack. Fuck yourself.
Poor Mr. Jack shut you down real quick there. Well, I'm glad
Yeah.
you're having fun with it. Tabletop gaming is something that I miss on a level that I can't even put into words. It's unfathomable. Obviously, I haven't been able to play since LBR went weekly here on
You should put
Twitch
together a
on
D&D
Sundays.
campaign.
Yes, I know I should, and if things fall into place, hopefully that's something that should be happening here sooner rather than
Do
later.
it with me.
Do
it with me.
Chris and I also have something in the works that anyone who is a Patreon can actually take part in. So please look forward to that.
I don't know. D&D to me, I think, would be more fun with people I know, but I can play Dark Heresy with people I don't know.
the same thing that I tell everyone, and something that I told Jinx too when he was asking about it during #TheBet, is because a lot of people seem to have varying opinions of tabletop gaming, and I guarantee you 100% that it is all about who you play with, okay?
Exactly.
It has nothing to do with the game that you play, it has nothing to do with the story or what you play, it is entirely about who you're playing with. Because a lot of people only tried it one time, and they probably played with sucky people, and they're just like, no, you know, that's not really for me. Anyone in this world can enjoy that if put with the right people, and hopefully, you know, that's something that I hope to show people one day, because when we actually did it, we used to stream it when we first started streaming, back when we were actually doing the tabletop stuff, and I used to get a lot of people in chat saying, you know, I never really liked D&D, you know, I had like a girlfriend or a brother or a boyfriend or like a sibling who played it, and watching them was boring. Even when I play myself, it's boring, but I'm actually entertained watching you guys, and, you know, the people that I played with are people that I've known for over 10 years now, the majority of whom are all actors, so, you know, they really, really get into the role-playing. They really know how to relate to their characters, and it's hilarious. Hilarity ensues. It's a lot of fun.
If you try to play a tabletop game and you don't like the idea of role-playing a character, then don't play tabletop games, because that's not for you.
You know, not even necessarily that, because I think a lot of people at first feel weird about it. They feel weird about the idea. But once you actually sit down and you see other people doing it and other people getting into their characters, it's a lot easier for you to do it as well. Because I've been in a few groups with people who weren't really sure how to act, you know, or what to do, really. And once they actually get into it, you know, other people are talking to them as their character, and then they have to respond. They start to fall into it pretty easily.
But the reason I feel like Dark Heresy and Warhammer games are probably easier to jump into like a random group is that fandom is kind of tight-knit, and
usually
the joke
that makes it harder.
Yeah, it is kind of, it can be difficult to get into a game, but it's not that the community itself is tight-knit, it's like the ideas of the community are tight-knit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody knows the story, everybody knows, or at least has a general knowledge of what's going on in the world, so it makes it easier to make a character and make it coherent with, like, just adhere to the other characters and mesh well, because everybody knows that, like, the ecclesiarchy doesn't feel very strongly for psychers, and they tend to look down upon them. So if you have an ecclesiarchy member and a psycher in the same game, then obviously the ecclesiarchy member is just going to be like, I'm just waiting for a reason to burn you with my torch, but, you know.
Yeah, in Dungeons & Dragons, that's the bard.
Yeah.
Everybody makes fun of and beats up the bard, yeah. Or,
awesome.
You know, tries to get past checkpoints by selling the bard for sex. It's always against the bard's will. But
no, I would always
the
love
betterment of the party.
I would love to do like a D&D campaign with people I know, because
well, you might get that chance.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
With the Limit Break Radio folks, or at least the two cool ones, me and Chris. All right, so we have a little something planned today. Obviously, if you were here last week, you know, we kind of just brought people in, talked to them, talked about what this show, kind of like what I have envisioned for it, what's it sort of going to look like and be like. And I want to plan like little bits or little segments and stuff like that. And so today we're actually going to bring in somebody who I hope is going to be integral in helping with some of those bits. We already have a few things sort of planned out. So today's going to be like a test run for him. We're going to see how it goes. So this is going to mess up Mini Bun's camera, so I'm going to throw the Mini Cupcake Bun up there. And we are going to give a call to our good friend Shintason. Let's see if he's there. Let's see if he's ready to pick up. Calling. Oh, add to group call.
Shintason!
Is he there?
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hey, Shinta. How's it going, man?
It is going great. And now that I'm here, you may all rest easy.
Oh no, my camera flipped.
Whoa, it did flip around. Nobody can see that, though, so it's okay.
Yeah, nobody can see it, but that was
all
weird.
Right. So, yes, here we go. Here is our good friend Shintason. Shinta, how's it going, man?
It is going. It is going. So,
you want to introduce yourself a little bit to the chat here, to our viewers?
Yes, obviously my name is Shinta-Sin, and I'm on the server of Ultros. But in the real world, my real name is Ray, obviously, and I'm also in IT. Now, being in the IT field, it really just means that you stare at a lot of progress bars and you browse the internet pretty much for the rest of the day when you're not looking at those progress bars. So I have a lot of time to search far and wide on the internet for some, content that, pleases me in a jocular manner.
Uh-huh.
In fact, I would like to call that content that I look for literally #content.
Good. Okay.
So, while I have a number of things that, I have, my personal collection, and I don't want to disturb anyone right off the bat.
I was going to say, now, even though we are tagged explicit, we don't want to go into the realm of XXX stuff. So if you can
Lots
just keep
of
those
hentai
things
on
to
Shinta's
yourself when you're on the show.
hard drive.
Shh, that's
I would
a hard
appreciate
drive. I like to go on the internet, not the dark internet.
The dark web.
The dark
I
web.
I don't believe you.
So another thing, though, about being in the IT field is that I have some, semblance of technology and interest. I have a lot of interest, actually, in future budding technology. So things like self-driving cars that Google does definitely interests me.
Or machines that can turn themselves off and on again and plug it in and unplug it if need be.
God, you know what? I would love for that to happen, but the truth of the matter being is that if we had that more widespread, I probably wouldn't have a job. So maybe that should just go away for a little bit. But it's nice to see that people, of course, go on, have ideas for technology and put them on the internet. But unfortunately, a lot of people put them in the wrong place. As per me finding this on the OhioCon official Facebook group.
All right, so here, let me introduce then exactly what we're going to do. And apparently, because I thought that the #content and what we were originally calling it, which was bullshintery, which there's a really cool graphic that we have in your face there, with Shinta-Sin is, as you can tell, he has a great voice. Shin, would you prefer Ray on the show?
If we're going to go by real names here on the Final Encounter cast, yeah, we can definitely go ahead and go at Ray.
Okay,
Nobody knows.
We're gonna
Nobody
go
knows
Ray
my
then.
real name.
Oh, I
I'm
know your
Mini
real name,
Bun.
but you're the Mini Bun. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, you know my real name, obviously.
So, Ray, you have a great voice, and it has been described as buttery.
It is so buttery.
It is buttery. We have heard one drunken chat member say that your voice has the ability to impregnate people over the interwebs.
Oh, yes.
People, not just girls, people. Just people in general can be impregnated by his voice. So it's very distinct. It's very distinct, and it's very buttery.
Oh, yes. And if you Google search MPreg, by the way, I am not responsible.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you can do that
Please
if you
Google
want,
that.
but we here at the Late Show with me claim no responsibility for what you may or may not find. Anyway, so the idea here is that Ray finds just the dumbest shit, or the funniest shit, on the interwebs, and then we bring him here to read it in his gorgeous, buttery, impregnate you voice, because the one time that we did it before with Anon Likes Pickles, it was hilarious. And I think what we're gonna probably do as like a judging scale for how well this particular piece of #content goes is, does Mini Bun stay composed or not?
Oh
so
my god.
if you get all the way through it, Ray, and Mini Bun is still straight faced and hasn't made a peep, you lose. And if you get her to laugh, the more hysterical the better, then you win. Does that sound good?
That sounds fine.
All right.
And if I start snorting, you get a 100.
Yeah, if you can bring her to snort, then it's on. So,
all right.
Why don't you go ahead then with your first piece of #content.
And before I go into this, I would just want to remind everyone that OhioCon is an anime convention where a bunch of weeaboos gather up and, of course, dress in costume. So with that being said, on to the Facebook post that I found. Hey guys, I had an idea for a system that could help people with bladder problems or other bathroom issues at conventions. The system involves a remote-controlled cart, similar to a wheelchair.
But not a wheelchair.
No. People would be assigned little remote controls that could be worn around their necks, like a necklace. If they know they cannot make it to the bathroom in time, or else they would have a very unfortunate occurrence that could potentially ruin their costumes, they would push a button and a cart would come rushing to them. Then, it would automatically go to a specially designed bathroom, and it would pull into a stall that is programmed to interact with the cart. This would be handy for people cosplaying or for elderly convention attendees.
What?
Okay, yes. So a person decided to go ahead and bring their idea for I'm going to carry a person with a bladder issue cart. Instead of bringing it to like Google or Samsung or anybody with some sort of engineering and scientific and technological prowess, decided to present this on the OhioCon official Facebook.
You know what, Ray? I'm going to actually disagree with you. I actually bet that they did go to Google or you know, to someone like Elon Musk, and they probably did actually fetch this design or you know, pitch this design to them, but they were laughed off of the premise so fast that, you know, they're like, you know what? Fine, I'm going to do this independently then. I'm taking this to Facebook.
Why a cart and not just tell people, hey, use a catheter?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. We need to set up these remote control carts. So if you can't get to the bathroom on time, you press this button, you stand there, you wait for the cart to come for you, then you get in it, and it takes you. No, what you should be bringing to you is probably just a portable toilet, anyhow, with like a shower curtain around it. So you just and you just go right then and there. That would be a better idea. Even though that one is also terrible. How many little how many weeaboos and their infants dressed like Pikachu do you think that your potty cart is going to run over in its haste to make it to you?
Actually, you actually brought up a good idea. Now, I didn't want to completely shit on this idea, so I'm like, maybe there could be a use for it. So I had a brilliant idea that could also possibly make me some money in the process. I'm really hoping it does.
Well, tell us about your idea then, Ray.
All right. Now, at anime conventions, there are a lot of designated areas where people go to have photo shoots, or to just plan different spots, you know, to have photo shoots of their cosplay groups.
Designated areas.
Yeah, sadly. So my idea was for a convention to have that same designated area for a group photo shoot. So then afterwards, right about, let's say 50 feet away from it, I would like to have what is called a viewing booth, where for a charge, I can have people attend and watch this said photo shoot. And then, if they pay high enough, they will get a remote control. And that remote control will go ahead and have the piss carts just flying through the photo shoot. Like, just the Sword Art Online photo shoot, that piss show of an anime series literally just gets ran over by piss carts. And people get to watch that in a booth.
And that's how the Weeaboo World Wars were started.
It would be so great. I mean, I'm just picturing, like, in my mind, I'm actually picturing piss carts literally falling downstairs when the carts can't realize that there are stairs. I mean,
and that blue shit is just like going everywhere with the regular shit. Yeah, it's.
So I want someone to make this, but I want someone to not make it well.
It doesn't even matter if you make it well or not. It's just a terrible idea. Any way that you spin it.
It really is.
Wear a diaper, people. Wear a diaper if you need to. They make those for adults.
Any cosplayer worth half their salt knows that the moment you feel like you even need to pee a little bit means you need to get to the bathroom, so you could take off your cosplay because it might take a while.
That's also another thing. Later in that thread, someone was just like, wouldn't it just be more cost effective to put like Huggies inside every, convention bag? if
Oh my
designated for
God.
special needs. And that person was like, "You guys are so negative. Fuck it. This thread is over. I hate all this negativity that just killed this thread." Like literally, that was their next response afterwards. After someone was like, "Yeah, let's just go ahead and put diapers in the bag because that's actually more feasible."
All right, well, whoever it was that came up with this idea, I have news for you. That wasn't the bullet that killed your thread. Your idea was stillborn.
Yep.
Man,
So-
you know
so-
what it is though? Like
What?
ideas like this are the reasons why true progress probably can't happen. Like for instance, there's like the next Shakespeare or Edgar Allan Poe that's ready to write his next novel, and then like people like that dumbass chick from Jersey Shore got to write a book and ruin a publishing deal for like a legitimate author. Like,
Well,
Yeah.
you're
you shouldn't
you're
flood the
probably
market
not
with
wrong.
dumb ideas.
All right, so Ray, let me ask you some of the questions we usually ask our new guests as we get in here. So
All
so
right.
first of all, obviously being on this show, you're a gamer, right?
Yes.
I mean, you work in IT, and like you said, you are familiar and you have a great vested interest in a lot of different technologies and stuff. So, what kind of games you into, man?
Well, actually, recently announced was the Mirror's Edge beta that recently got announced that you could, of course, sign up for it. I, of course,
That's a
love the...
sequel, right?
It is actually a prequel, but at the
okay.
same time, it's kind of a retcon. So it's, in a way, they're kind of not taking the entirety of the original Mirror's Edge game into account, but they're going to take bits and pieces, and they're going to kind of retcon the series a little bit, but it's really more so of a prequel.
Okay, 'cause I
And-
have the first one on Steam that I was given a long, long time ago, but unfortunately I haven't had a chance to get around to it, but it's one that's always looked really, really interesting to me.
Like the thing I love about Mirror's Edge is that it pretty much is a different game all on its own. We're like, unfortunately in video game scene, we're lacking a lot of unique games up until recently with a lot of indie developers going through with their ideas. And Mirror's Edge was one of those games that just pretty much played a lot differently, and I loved it. And I also read the comic. The comic actually recently got released about a few months ago, and is also very solid. And back at New York Comic Con, they had a booth where you can actually play it for 15 minutes. And that game, compared to the first one, game is so smooth. Like, you can tell that the team that's behind this game is definitely invested in making this series take off.
Good,
And
good. Like I was just talking to Visenya about the previous 3 games that I've played and how you can. They're pretty much kind of the same game, just with the usual updates, to graphics and gameplay and quality of life stuff that you would assume a newer game has. And it's good to know that when you have something that you're really, really looking forward to, that you're getting something that not just, lives up to your expectations of the first one, but the team that has it was also able in some way to really push it that extra mile.
Exactly. It's nothing like WB that pretty much, I hate saying it, WB has pretty much given the middle finger to their PC market, like not only with the Batman games, but what was it, the Mortal Kombat XL package. They were just like, yeah, we're not giving you the XL package on PC. It's like they're completely not invested in it, and that's a high market type. Like, that's a brand name itself. Like, everyone has heard of Mortal Kombat.
Well, I'm not. If that WB is the same WB that produces DC movies, then that doesn't surprise me. Mini Bun, what are you doing?
I didn't realize I was on camera.
Why is there a dog
And I
looking at us?
didn't realize I was on camera. And I went to go get Oreos, and the chat judged me, so I just put a dog.
Yeah, I put you up on camera when Ray started reading his thing, because we wanted to see you laugh. Why is there a dog? What is that? Why is that a thing?
Oh my god. Whoa.
Why is it eating celery?
Oh my god, what's going on? I am legitimately confused.
Mini Bun, what are you doing?
What's happening here? Like, at first I thought that was like dog vomit, and then I realized it might be a vegetable.
I think that it was celery, and she seems to be having Skype issues right now. So, okay.
WB is the same company, though, that in terms of gaming, They did that whole fiasco with the Arkham. I forgot what it was. The last Batman game that came out. They're the ones that were responsible for the issues with the PC version. And ironically enough, they just recently announced that they're not planning on bringing it over to Mac and Linux, which
Yeah,
I was even
heard.
surprised was even a thought in their mind.
Yeah.
I mean-
That was a big surprise to everyone everywhere. Ryoku, thank you for the gift of Banner Saga on Steam. Ryoku in the chat here is probably easily the biggest donator of games to my Steam collection. So when I complain about not having enough time for all the games that I'm playing, it is 100% Ryoku's fault. Yeah.
And with Ryoku in the chat, or what? I'm sorry about that. My throat's a little bit sore. Actually, was out, so I apologize about any blunders. But yeah, Mortal Kombat 10 is doing pretty well. And in fact, it's actually one of the more decent Mortal Kombat games to come out. But they pretty much just gave the middle finger to the PC version because the PC version is not getting the XL. But the thing is, major companies, aren't caring so much about their titles, but I can also tell that. But at the same time, to give Mirror's Edge a boost, I can tell that they're definitely caring. In fact, I don't know what that speedrun competition was that happened at the beginning of January. But when the Mirror's Edge one came out, they legitimately watched a portion for Mirror's Edge and actually donated $1,000 to the charity while that was happening.
Yeah.
They're actually paying attention to their title, and I can't be happy that a better team is working for that.
Yeah, it's really weird for me now because you're absolutely right. There's this weird place right now where I think the video game industry is, and even when we say the video game industry, I think we're not even talking about it as a whole. We're specifically referring to the AAA, the big names, your Ubisofts, your EAs, Konami,
Right.
stuff like that, right? Where all they're looking at, there's a boardroom full of people who probably don't have any vested interest in video games themselves, and they're just asking themselves, how can we make the most money? And sure, they put these projects in the hands of people who are actually passionate about making games, but when you're not a name like Kojima, how much control and how much say and how much push do you actually have against the direction that things are going on? And for me, it's looking at these smaller indie companies that you see popping up out of like Steam and stuff, that you're going to see more love poured into their games. I remember one time on one of our shows at Final Encountercast, I mentioned the people who make Tales from the Borderlands, Telltale Games. I mentioned Telltale Games, and someone's like, they're not an indie game. They're making an indie company. They're making millions. Well, but it's still, yeah, sure, they're making lots and lots of money because of what they've done. But obviously, that's where they came from. They started out with just the Walking Dead game, and look at where they've gotten now. And when you watch their things, you know that those are people that are in charge of doing their own thing. And it's the same thing with the guy who did Undertale, right? I mean, that was so amazingly successful that you're going to see another game like that come out at some point. And now he's going to have more money to put towards it. He's going to have a team to help put towards it. And I'm not really into the whole Undertale thing because. Welcome back, Mini Bun.
Hi.
And
but the next game that comes out from the Undertale dude, I'm going to be on because it's going to be fucking fantastic.
Right, and yes, games like Telltale, you're right. They were an indie studio, and they started out humble. I mean, and yes, they got popular, but at the same time, I don't really see any difference from when they first started up until now. So in my mind. With the way that they make their games and how they, stick to the values of it. I mean, in my mind, it is an indie. It's still an indie company to me. Mm-hmm. It started with, one direction, and it's still going in that direction, and that I could definitely appreciate. And
well,
it's a funny thing you also mentioned.
They've tried to branch out a little bit because obviously where their strengths lie is in the story sort of telling, point and click sort of. Category. That's where their major strengths are because that's what Tales of the Borderlands was. That's what The Walking Dead was. And I think their first sort of big was the Game of Thrones one, which obviously is just like your traditional standard RPG.
Right.
And I actually went into it expecting like a really narrative-driven, Game of Thrones-esque thing like you get with Tales from the Borderlands and from The Walking Dead, and when it was just like straight up, go around and talk to everybody in slash and hack RPG, I was like, oh. And I haven't touched it since.
And earlier you mentioned like Kojima, and you mentioned also like the state of the gaming industry, and it's really awkward to look at everything that went down with Konami and Kojima, and like that's a big name, and Konami's a big company, and even Kojima to an extent was not allowed to do what he truly wanted with his the game that he basically made.
Yeah.
And,
it was a damn shame.
And in the end, it was all for money. I mean, there's really nothing else, to it.
Yep.
They probably wanted a specific deadline. They wanted to make a certain amount, and even like Kojima, unfortunately, lost control over that. So, like with these big titles, that at the end, the bottom line is how much money it's going to make, or how soon can we make this money? Like, it's just terrible to see like everything that happened, where he couldn't even accept his own awards for something that he poured his heart out into.
Unfortunately, he honestly probably never had control of it to begin with, and it's not something that's insular to the video game industry as well. I mean, you hear stories recently. Ben Affleck wanted to take home one of the bat suits, right? And Warner Brothers told him, "Yeah, sure, for $100,000."
Yeah.
Meanwhile, after Avengers 2, Marvel offered to give Robert Downey Jr. the giant A from the Avengers sign on the building.
Yeah.
So, just depends where you're at and, who you're working with, I suppose.
Yeah, but, like, I just don't want that direction to, because, like, it starts with one and then it could always trickle down. And, like, I wouldn't want to see that to happen to other game studios.
Oh, no, yeah, of course not. And I think too, that when you have games or game studios in these indie companies that start from their humble beginnings, I think that it's easier for them to stay true to their values. So I mean, it's something that I think time will tell. Have you ever heard of Funhouse?
That I haven't.
Okay, Funhouse, and that's F-U-N and then house spelled like the German spelling H-A-U-S.
Yes.
They are like a YouTube video thing, kind of like the podcast that we do, but they do it all in video. And they just started out as like four dudes in. I've only become familiar with them recently. I don't watch a whole lot of them, but I recently remember seeing a video where they had moved into a new building, and like I think either the entire building or several rooms in the building was theirs now because they needed to upgrade their space, right? And they were right next to some big company, like maybe it was like I want to say Google, but I don't think it was Google because that's like super huge. But they're out in Silicon Valley and they're right next to some other office building owned by some big company like this, and then the rest of the video is them doing a tour of their new building, and obviously they're getting a lot more money, they're getting a lot more funding, they're doing very, very, very well for themselves, and yet the video was still them just goofing off and fucking around with each other throughout the entire office building and just pissing people off. And those are the kind of guys that even as they get more successful, that they're still going to be as true to themselves as what they are. A Rooster Teeth is another great example of that. So I think it depends entirely on where you start.
And then you have people like the Fine Brothers. Fuck the Fine Brothers.
Oh god, that was a glorious fucking disaster.
Oh my god, even their apology was half-assed.
Oh,
that dude sat there and fucking rolled his eyes at the camera. I'm like, are you shitting me?
That's hilarious.
Robbie, you know all about that, right?
I do not actually want to enlighten me.
Okay. So the Fine Brothers are, if you've ever seen one of those videos on YouTube, like kids react to whatever, elderly people react.
Yep.
Yeah, usually it's the Fine Brothers that are responsible for that. And basically what happened was last week, they pretty much came out with a YouTube video talking about trademarking the property of them making reaction videos.
Okay.
Now, this is the thing that kind of irked me off. This was a channel that at the time of making that video had like around 1.4 to 1.5 million viewers, if I'm guessing that. I mean, subscribers, if I'm getting that right.
Okay.
No, they had like 30 million subscribers.
They did?
Dude, they are such a popular channel. They actually lost
type of
13 million subscribers because of that.
Okay.
And you know what? That type of content is extremely clickbaity anyway. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
And a lot of
So-
people enjoyed their content. That was the shitty part.
In the video, there were like a couple of things that really, kind of got to me, and it was kind of disturbing. The first thing was they wanted their fans to go around and pretty much have a gang mob against other people that make reaction videos, telling them that they're copying their, gimmick.
Yep.
That alone is disturbing.
Were they actually able to get the rights to that? Because this is like Sony trying
No.
to get trademark the idea of doing Let's Plays. Fuck off, Sony.
No, they pulled out of it because
Of the negative
several lawyers said that they were going to fight against them pro bono.
Uh-huh.
The most notable being the Redditor named Video Game Lawyer.
Uh-huh.
And he said he was going to fight it tooth and nail pro bono. And the Fine Brothers had such a bad reaction that they had to pull their trademarks.
Not to mention, this would have been a very hard thing to trademark. It's almost just like when Sony did try to trademark Let's Play. They were originally denied because their definition of a Let's Play was too broad, and it wasn't very specific. Like, they pretty much wanted the trademark of a digital streaming and recording of video gameplay, and the lawyers, I guess like the judges and whoever makes the decision were like, yeah, that's not specific
Not gonna
enough.
happen.
And so you're denied. You have 6 months to get your wording to a more definitive term, and then you could try to apply again.
They tried to apply again, and there was a company known as Let's Play with a Z on Let's, and so they denied them on that basis, and they went for it again, and they were flat out refused once again on the basis that this is already a thing that's been done for a long time. Let's Play is a generic. Now you can't trademark it.
Yeah, that's
and,
absolutely ridiculous.
And like whoever reacts is also very broad. It's kind of like how originally there was like those talent shows that were on TV, and then afterwards there were just so many other talent shows that are on TV, and you really can't really trademark an idea like that, because that's basically what that is that's a talent show. You really can't trademark videotaping someone reacting to something, because that's basically what a lot of content is. Like, that is recorded. That really is what it is.
It's not going to stop people from trying, though, that's for sure.
But you can trademark things like America's Got Talent. They can trademark the big X's that they have over the stage that they buzz, because it's a very X Factor if you're in the UK, or So it's just one of those things that it's Britain's Got Talent in the UK, anyways.
Yeah, but actually, back on the topic of video games, though, I have been actually thinking about since today. I want to replay Wild Arms 1.
Never played any of the Wild Arms games.
Well, Wild Arms 2 was terrible. But Wild Arms 1 was great. And the Wild Arms anime was complete garbage.
Well, surprise, anime was garbage.
Yeah, it's just like that Final Fantasy anime that came out, like the anime itself. I forgot what it was called, but yeah, that anime was also pure garbage.
That's probably why I've never heard of it before. Actually, Ray, there's a question that I meant to ask you at the beginning, something that I like to ask all the guests that come on our show here. But do you remember at what point, what moment it was, looking back, that made you a gamer? I would
ever since when I was really young, I had a Nintendo, and I played games like the Mario Brothers and Excite Bike and that. But unfortunately, because Nintendo was something that really was kind of shoddy, as in terms of hardware, with the blowing of the cartridges and everything like that, I couldn't really play too many games on that. But I remember everything specifically changing, and now I right now the way that this franchise is, I hate it. But I remember getting a Sega Genesis and just plowing through Sonic the Hedgehog religiously, like the original one.
Yeah.
That if I never played that, I probably would have never gotten interested in it because, like the Nintendo, the original Nintendo didn't really hook me, only because I was just like, my patience as a child was very, very low. So.
Having to always give it blowjobs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, I didn't want to be, part of child prostitution. I just wanted to play a fucking video game, man. And like, if it wasn't for the Sega Genesis and being able to play Sonic and playing games like Streets of Rage or anything like that, I probably would have never done it. Now, like that was just a general video game,
right.
hook on it itself. My very first RPG ever was Final Fantasy VII.
Aw, yeah!
And like I remember everyone before that game coming out, everyone was like raving over the trailers and like it was everywhere in video games. And I knew like I was actually, I was just like such like a general based gamer that like I knew the people that worked at at the time it was Software, etc. Before it became GameStop. And like they were just like, "Yeah, you should go ahead and play this. Like you're intelligent. Go ahead and buy this game and play it. It's great." Because I guess like kids, back then, kids at my age were just like really fucking dumb. I remember playing that and I was blown away because like a lot of the games that I played didn't have like big intense storylines.
Right, yeah.
And like that was the one that was like, it was like the first major story that pretty much grabbed me. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have gone ahead and played Tactics. Now Tactics was the game that I played, to beat it first, and at the end of it I was like, I don't know anything that happened. And then I played it again, and I was like, this story is fucking nuts and amazing. I am like, it was at the time that Square Enix pretty much couldn't do any wrong. Then Xenogears.
Oh, you mean back when they were Squaresoft?
Yeah, back when they were Squaresoft, I'm sorry. And like they couldn't do any wrong. And, they just kept turning out games. And I hate saying this. I played Saga Frontier and I was not into it.
I wasn't into Saga Frontier either.
Yeah, but a lot of people are like,
I'm sorry, this was all way, way before your time, Minibun. You were still, in the crib, playing with your rattles and stuff, so.
Sure.
That was a young joke.
I got that.
Okay.
But
yeah, I played Saga Frontier 2. I don't think I played more than 15 minutes of it. I couldn't really get into it or figure that thing out. So
I remember going to buy Saga Frontier and then buying another game. I think I bought Gauntlet or something.
I don't know what game that is, but that's still an excellent decision.
Like Gauntlet Legends?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah. That was definitely definitely a better.
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, I just always remember. I don't remember much about that game because I played more of Gauntlet 7 Sorrows because my mom could play it with me, and I liked playing games with my mom. And the only thing I remember from that game was being told I need food badly.
Yep, that's the one. Yep, Gauntlet Legends.
Blue Wizard needs food badly.
And you could be a dick and blow up all the food before the other person got to it. That's the type of game I would never play with
my
Chris.
brother. Yep. My brother did that constantly to me. Anytime I needed food, my brother would just go and blow it up and then laugh at me when I died. It's the worst.
Awesome. All right, you know what? We're actually getting about 2/3 of the way through the time that I'd like to, kind of envision the show to be. Not that I'm going to put any hard caps on anything, but I would like to see if we can't get our next guest in here. And they don't actually know that I'm trying to call them or that I'm going to add them. So,
whoops.
So let me see if they're even on right now. All right, let's see here.
I'll hang up the call.
How what?
That person
Jack.
told me that.
Mr. Jack, are you there? Are you gonna answer, Mr. Jack?
Yes.
Hey,
I
how's
don't
it
want to
going,
talk
Jack?
to you right now.
Hello,
Hi.
Jack.
Apparently,
Why don't you want to talk to me?
someone doesn't want to talk to you
Because
today.
you said yawn in the chat. Whenever I was talking about Dark Heresy, so fuck you.
No, I didn't. If you go back and
Yes,
look at the
you
chat, I
did.
said snore, not yawn.
Listen, if
Why
you could
do I
just
not
pay
have-
attention to the chat a little bit harder, that'd be great.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, he said snore. So, hey, how's it going, Mr. Jack?
I'm sorry, I can't
It's
go
going
back
good,
in the
Pete.
chat after I do screen.
I need a
Dickheads.
quick second because for some reason this call actually came to my phone instead of my computer Skype. So I'm gonna hop out of the call real quick and then jump back in if that's okay.
Sure.
Sure.
There, we hung up on him. All right, way to go, Mr. Jack. Just grind the show to a halt here.
Yep.
Excellent. That's cool. Actually, no, I'm going to take this time to tell you
Okay,
guys
there we go.
about another little segment that we're going to try next time here on the Late Late Show. But in order to do that, I'm gonna need your guys' help. And hey, shout out to Ellie Buttons down there. How's it going,
Hey,
Ellie?
Ellie Buttons.
Thanks for shopping by the Late 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 Show with me and Mini Bun.
Hey, Ellie. And by the way, thank you for congratulating me on my clear through A1 Savage. Really appreciate it.
So,
Ellie,
this idea that I have for a segment, it's called Get Triggered, okay? Basically, what you guys are going to do as listeners and viewers of the show is you guys are going to find articles for us to read on air here. And if we get triggered reading your article, then you win. Specifically, you have to trigger me, okay? I'm going to try and keep my rage monster in its cage, locked up tight where it's supposed to be.
Okay.
But next time, I want you guys to find articles, and you'll link them here in the chat, and you know, we'll click them and take them and read and see how triggered we get. And
Do you want me to read the article?
nope, whoever they're trying to trigger has to read the article. Okay.
Okay.
And if you can trigger me, whoever triggers me the most, I will buy you a Steam game up to a certain price. I'll work out the details specifically, but get triggered. That's what we're gonna do. You know what, Olda? You think just talking about the FF7 remake would be enough, but you know what? I've come to peace with that. If it's a good game, I win because I have a good game. If it's a bad game, I win because I fucking told you so.
Robbie, remember when I told you about Sonic? Yeah, I've gone ahead and, like you, have made peace with the fact that I will not have wait things I want with
okay,
Sonic.
but hold on.
What about Sonic 06 though? What about that game? That
hold
game
on.
is great.
Sonic 06 was a game that essentially was made with a boardroom filled with fanfiction writers. And it was perfectly okay that they okayed tons of money to go ahead and allocate, where at the end of the game he decides to make out with a human chick and then saves the world. Like, that was actually Sonic 06.
Hold on,
Yeah.
Ray. Hold on.
Yes.
Now, obviously, Sonic has been perverted into something unlike what he was, back in the Golden Age. And I don't even necessarily know if you can necessarily recreate that in today's environment, or if it has to be a 2D thing. But you are
I'm not saying that it
forgetting.
has to be 2D.
You are
Episode
forgetting.
4 has shown that they can't do that.
You are forgetting one very, very good example of a Sonic game that in today's current generation stands out amongst the rest. Have you not given any time to Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games?
I'm triggered.
I know what you're trying to do, and this is the thing. I've been such a hardcore Sonic fan that many people before you have done this, so I don't get upset anymore because I understand what you're trying to do, and unfortunately, it just won't work.
Juxta bought that
You sound
for
pretty
us.
upset to me.
Juxta bought that and came home with alcohol, and me, him, and Juxta's Chris, sorry, and our roommate at the time, Matt, played that wasted, and it was hilarious and so much fun.
There was a game many years ago. Well,
Hey, fuck
many
you!
years ago on
Sonic
Dreamcast.
Spinball was awesome and hard. That game was super fucking hard.
Yeah, that game was kind of nuts. But there was like a friend's birthday party, and this was like back in the days, like I would say a few years after Dreamcast, died out, where he pretty much arranged it that everyone played a game that they hated.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was like that stupid imitation of Mario Party, but it was with Sonic characters, and I forgot what exactly the game was called.
I have never heard of that
No,
before.
that game was so bad.
That game was
So bad.
it was dismally horrible. Like, I remember.
No, but Sonic 06, I remember
Son-
buying that game whenever I was a kid because I love Sonic so much. And going home and getting stuck in a wall with Knuckles and crying for 3 hours. I legitimately cried about that game. That's the first game series that I've ever cried over because it went that badly.
Wow.
I will say that in a moment of me being triggered, there will be a point in time where I do live stream playing Sonic 06 to get my reactions to it, because I'll be honest, I only played 2 hours of that game, and I just threw it out. I didn't even trade it back in. I threw it in the garbage, literally. That's actually what I did. Like, I was like, this game should... I said, this game should never exist, and I just threw it in the garbage.
You saved some of the poor soul from having to play it.
Yeah, and like, it was... I got it as a gift, too, so I really didn't feel bad for my wallet, either. So I was just like, yeah, alright, great. This is... Like, I should have burned the garbage can. I understand that really the game could have still lived in a, heap somewhere, but, I felt like I did due diligence with that. So, yeah.
All right, well, now Mr. Jack, sorry, Vicen, did you want to say something real quick?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I'm trying to remember the name of the last decent Sonic game I played.
Sonic
It's the one with, like,
Generations,
the
that's
choke.
what I
Sonic and Knuckles.
No, I haven't played any of the newer games, but
Well,
trying to
Sonic
think.
Generations.
It was the one
and
with the
Sonic
Chobits. It was not the Chobits. The
Oh,
like the
you're
little-
talking about Sonic Adventure 1.
yes. And I loved that game whenever I was a kid.
Sonic
I
Adventure
loved it.
1 was actually surprisingly good in the way that it tackled using 3D, as well as the
Yes.
fact that they were trying to also branch out, like individual uses for the characters. Like, they were trying to make Tails his own hero, which was actually kind of a great idea. Like, they were going to try to evolve the characters. And then Sonic Adventure 2 came out, and they were just like, yeah, all those ideas we had, yeah, we're going to throw them all in the garbage. We're going to make Tails being a robot. We're going to have we're going to have even more climbing missions with Knuckles and dumbass lady chick and
Yeah.
oh, Rogue, whatever.
Rouge.
Rogue.
Rogue, whatever. I don't care. Like, that game was so bad. I didn't. Like, hold on a moment. Oh, you can't see it, but I have a Rogue bus from the X-Men. I'm so mad about this that that they took one of my favorite X-Men, and they put it in that stupid bat chick.
But they didn't, because that's Rouge, not Rogue.
Yeah,
different.
I understand. But, man, like, that game was, like, it was just so bad. Like, it started to derail at Sonic Adventure 2, and then it just went worse. They went to they even had Shadow the Hedgehog, where they made him drive a motorcycle and have guns. I was kind of waiting for, and I'm a black guy, so I was kind of like, this game is racist as shit. Are they going to have him start collecting watermelon slices next? Like, what's going on now? Like I
like
was
to call Edgy the
What was that?
Edgelord.
Oh yeah, he's the edge. He is definitely
Edgy
the
the
edge.
Edgehog, I should
Edgy
say.
the Edgehog, that's funny.
Yep.
Even there's that new cartoon that's out, which actually has its funny moments apparently, like from all the clips I've seen. But even on the cartoon, they make Shadow so like the supreme edgelord. It's hilarious, but they do it in the most hilarious way possible.
Well, speaking of edgelords, Mr. Jack. Mr. Jack. It's going to give you the usual interview questions, but you had to fuck it all up by answering the call on your phone.
Sorry.
Did we catch you at a bad time, or I mean, are you cool to be on my show? Will you bless us with your presence a little longer?
Absolutely. I mean,
He was
I'm running
watching
the Praetorium
porn.
right now, but yes, I'm watching porn whilst in the Praetorium, whilst watching the show.
That's
Or-
multitasking.
Or if your girlfriend's there, we can talk to her instead. She's a lot more interesting than you are.
Well, she's in bed early tonight because she's got work in the morning. So
Oh,
Can't-
I know that feeling. I have work in the morning too.
What a nerd.
Yeah. All right, so Mr. Jack, besides MMOs, what kind of games and Sonic obviously, what kind of gaming do you associate yourself with? What do you feel most closely connected to?
closely connected to, I would probably say I'm big on FPSs, first-person shooters. Like I've been heavily interested in like the Call of Duty series since like Modern Warfare 2.
That
and
explains so much.
yeah. Well, I'm not saying they're all good. They're obviously not all good, but
No, freaking Call of Duty
it's-
isn't even Call of Duty anymore. I saw a friend of mine put a little video up on on Facebook, and he was like attacking zombies, which obviously isn't out of the ordinary because they have zombie mode. But apparently this was the story, and he's also fighting dragons in like fucking Camelot. I'm like, at that point, you're not playing Call of Duty anymore. You're just playing a regular first-person shooter.
Can I make a
Get
suggestion?
Call of Duty out of my fantasy.
Can we make a suggestion, by the way, for future Call of Duty games? Like, can we just not call them by their names and just call it like what it is? Call of Duty 2014, Call of Duty 2015, like a sports game. Can we just do that from now on? Like, I'm tired of having to memorize all these names for what it really is. A series that just really doesn't evolve. They just give you a couple of new guns and maybe add a nice little shading technology, and that's it.
I've always enjoyed the the little stories and whatnot. I mean, essentially what they are is they are the blockbusters of video games. You play them to see the big explosions and these awesome, war scenes and stuff like that, and that's cool. That's fine.
I'm the same.
I know
about
Boy
that.
Bun.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I know Boy Bun likes the newest Call of Duty a lot. He hasn't liked one for a while.
And I'm not saying that it's bad. I just like if it it's basically to me what they've done by putting in these zombies and these dragons that's coming through portals in the walls, and they've gone back in time and shit, is you have basically acknowledged the fact that you have nowhere else to go with your war games. You're kind of like, well, guys, we've pretty much done the war thing, and I think people are getting sick of it. What can we do now? But they didn't want to try and launch a brand new series. They wanted to keep piggybacking off of their IP, which is the Call of Duty name, and it's just insulting to me for some reason.
And you know what's so ironic about that is the fact that we were saying the exact same thing about 5, 6, 7 years ago about World War II games. It's like the entire market was just saturated with nothing but World War II games, and then they switched to the modern military genre, and then that just got all oversaturated. And now, where the fuck are we going?
Nice.
A wild boy bun has appeared.
Oh, wild Boy Bun.
Mr. Jack,
Sasquatch walk.
have you ever played the Time Splitter series?
I have not.
Oh, you're killing me, man.
I'm sorry.
Time Splitters 2 and Time Splitters Future Perfect were great games. That's actually, I think, probably, besides GoldenEye, what got me into the FPS genre.
Man, you know what's really atrocious, by the way, and they're making a second one to this game? Titanfall actually made me hate a game about robots. Like, how can any game do that, man? Why do you gotta do that to me?
See,
why you gotta play me like that?
I loved Titanfall so much when it first came out. Like, yeah, it had a... God, it had a bad release. It had a really bad release. But I stuck through it for the longest time, and I enjoyed it for, I'd say, up until about, I want to say, August of last year. And I fell out of it just because, like, okay, no one else is playing this game. This has gotten kind of boring. It had such a great concept, so many great innovations, so many new things. It just failed at launch.
I was going to say, I feel like that's one of the ones that sort of fell off the radar pretty quickly, because before it came out, the two games that I sort of had my eye on was Destiny and Titanfall. And Titanfall looked fucking awesome, and then it just kind of vanished. I don't even remember when it vanished, because I remember there was a point where, actually on Final Encounter Cast, I was trying to remember this game, and I knew, what it looked like, and I can, see the trailer in my head, but I'm like, I have no fucking clue what it is, or what it was called, or what happened to it, and you're right, Titanfall, that's what it was.
Yeah, and I remember getting an email one day. It's like, Titanfall's on sale for $5. And I was with my friend, and at the time we were both like, we should get this game on release. And then I looked at my friend, I'm like, hey, look, I got this email. Apparently Titanfall's $5. And we're just staring at each other, and I just say, but I don't think we're going to get this game at all. He's like, no, it's just screw it.
Not just
it's
that,
dead.
but all the map packs, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 months after they came out, were now free.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the things hearing about it now that's most disappointing, because when I first saw that trailer, I was really excited because they had a really great concept for an actual, single-player campaign in that, and people are saying that all that was multiplayer, like what Battlefront is.
Yeah, it's only multiplayer. It's just like the new Rainbow Six game. It's pretty...
And they did have a single-player thing in development at the time. There were alpha and beta videos for all that shit, and they completely scrapped it because EA.
I mean, I've
because
spent five-
EA, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Basically,
and I'm an avid
every-
Steam user.
every
and I
prob-
blow. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying every problem on that game is. I have to say it's completely on EA just because they rushed out the game.
Yeah, and I'm an avid Steam user, so I'm used to blowing $5 on nonsensical bullshit. And I didn't do that. That's when I know a game has fucked up. Like, I have Hatoful Boyfriend in my library, for Christ's sake. So, yeah.
The best visual
I
novel.
would rather... Oh, I know. I would rather pay $5 for a Hatoful Boyfriend than play $5 for Titanfall.
Oh, gosh.
The thing that kills me about that is the fact that not just that it had so many great innovative ideas, but the game was so well optimized too. Like it ran so well. Like when I first got it, I had one of the shittiest computers ever, not the one that I have now, and it still ran nearly perfectly. And
Thank you. Sorry,
still,
Mr. Jack, to interrupt. No, actually, I'm not sorry to interrupt you. Shut up for a second. Ryoku, thank you again for another gift on Steam, Final Fantasy V. As pops up right over top of Mini Bun's cam, so all people see is accept gift, Final Fantasy V. Yes, thank you, Ryoku. At one point, my wish list had like 30 things on it, and I'm pretty sure I'm down to under 10. I have removed a few things, but he's also just bought me a shit ton of stuff. Thank you, Ryoku. Thank you. One of these I'm going to do a speed
Actually,
run
you
of
know
all
what?
Final
I thought
Fantasies.
I thought of a good idea, by the way, that we could do after we're talking, and it does involve our Steam wish list. So come back to me on that after we're done talking.
All right.
God, don't make me spend money.
No, we're not. It
If
doesn't involve
anybody
spending
wants
money.
to gift me
It doesn't
Darkest
involve spending
Dungeon,
money.
I am down with that.
I have Darkest
Oh, that's a good game.
It doesn't involve spending money. Or do you want me to just ask the question now?
What's the question?
What's the most embarrassing game on your Steam wish list?
Yep, you're not getting that.
Oh.
Come on, do it. Come on.
Nope.
What's the most?
I think the most embarrassing one on mine is Anna, just because I haven't bothered to remove it, even though I know it's a shit game now.
Come
I don't even
on.
know, 'cause I haven't looked at my wish list in forever.
So,
Come on.
Mr. Jack, Mr.
Robbie.
Jack, can you
Go-
recall?
Robbie.
Can you recall what moment in your life made you a gamer?
I'm not really sure because I know that I was playing video games before I even had the ability to maintain long-term memory. Like the first one I ever remember playing was Donkey Kong.
What's the moment? Because I mean, I played games before Final Fantasy VII too. You know, I mean, I grew up with Nintendo and Sega and stuff like that, and I got a PlayStation for Easter. But it wasn't until that game that it had really hit me, like how powerful these things could be and how I wanted them and to be a part of my life and me, define me as a person for the rest of forever. Never had a moment like that with a game before?
I wouldn't necessarily say I had that moment with a game. It more coincided with a specific event in my life, specifically something that my parents had told me, and that was that they were planning on trying to wean me off of video games because I love them so much. And that was when I was like in middle school.
How did that go?
Oh, it did. Well, what do you think? Okay. Here's what they would try to do. They would take my PlayStation 2 and take it out of my room and find a place somewhere in the house to hide it from me.
Uh-huh.
And never took me that long to find it. And every night that they would go, after they would go to bed around 9 o'clock, that was usually their bedtime, I would wait for about an hour for them to fall asleep. I would sneak out of my room, which was right next to theirs, walk downstairs into the closet next to my dad's office, and then grab the PlayStation 2, take it up to my room, and play it until about 3 or 4 at night, and then take it back and put it right back where it was. This was a nightly ritual.
So that is the moment then when your parents waged the unholy war of trying to take gaming away from you. You created the resistance movement.
Yes.
By day, you were part of the regime. You adhered to the rules. But when night fell, Mr. Jack would come out. He would steal the goods, sneak them away to his little resistance headquarters, and play all through the night before taking them back so that the patriarchy was none the wiser.
Correct.
Cool. Sounds like fun.
Nice.
this
Assassin's Creed, that shit.
did Assassin's Creed. There's another. See, you can totally
Assassin's Creed?
see it. You can
2013?
totally see it. You can totally see it with all of these games. Assassin's Creed is one of the biggest culprits of it. Each game is just the same game put out again and again and again.
You know what?
Call of Duties are the same thing. You know, there was one time on our stream where Nate was bitching about how he's afraid that if the Final Fantasy episodic thing does well, it's going to be the downfall of the business. That everyone's going to start doing this. But, like, they're already doing this. That's what the Assassin's Creed games are. Now, sure, you might actually get, like, 40, 60 hours out of it, but that's what they are. You get one a year. Sometimes you get two in the same year, and it's the exact same thing. Games are already doing this, and they're already shitty.
They've been doing this,
I mean,
though.
I'll be honest. I have my own opinions about this episodic thing on Final Fantasy VII that, for the most part, does not support them doing this on an episodic basis. That I won't get into because
I agree
don't think
that the episode-based thing is what it needs, and it's not that episodic stuff can't work for games. I mean, obviously, it worked for the Walking Dead Telltale games.
The problem is I don't think AAA studios should be doing episodic games. I think you should be expected as a AAA studio to release full games.
Now, see, that's the other thing. You can't necessarily, and maybe different people have different opinions on what constitutes a full game, okay? The dot hack games were episodic, but you had a full game in them. I don't know if it necessarily means that the story has to conclude. I don't know if that means that there has to be a certain amount of time played, but there are certain points within Final Fantasy VII where you can end it, and you have a quote-unquote ending the same way that you would at the end of, the first Lord of the Rings book, or the second one, right? There are ways that you can cut it up so that it still makes sense story-wise cohesively, and I think the biggest thing to worry about when it comes to episodic gaming is just how certain mechanics are going to work. In the time between the first one and the second one, are you going to be able to level up your characters and then go into the second one and just fucking crush them? That's my biggest concern.
with those dot hack games, I don't get me wrong, I love the dot hack series, but I just hated the video games. Like, I played them just to know what the story was about, but I kind of felt like it didn't, like the first set of dot hack games that came right after dot hack sign. I really didn't feel like that story needed to be broken up into 4 different parts.
Probably not.
Ray, I need to correct you on something. The anime series was actually called Hack.Sign.
Mr. Jack, don't make me
What?
Nerd!
No.
Yeah,
No.
I'm pretty sure.
No, it was dot hack, and it had the 2 slashes just like you were going into a server, and it said sign.
Nope. It's hack sign.
Let me look at the banner
anime
really quick.
series.
No, look. It had
No,
a
look, he says.
dot hack double slash sign.
Yeah. But I think the game series was just called Dot Hack.
It was.
Wasn't
That's
it?
what he's saying. Dot hack came after dot hack sign.
Yeah, like there was dot hack slash quarantine, and then there was dot hack slash whatever other dumb name that they wanted. But it was always called dot hack.
I
thought
think
the TV
there's
series
certain expectations of AAA industry.
yeah,
like
like-
a cliffhanger ending to a game is fine, but Telltale did episodic content probably because they didn't know if they were going to be able to fund a full game or not.
No, you're probably
when they
absolutely
first
right.
started.
Sure,
And,
sure.
and with something like dot hack, we were going into that with a gamble. Like, we truly didn't know how the series ended. The video game was so basically told us how dot hack sign ended. Like, that's what the expectation was. So we didn't. I just don't know why they diverted over. I understand why they diverted over to it, because it would be edgy to go from an anime that's about a video game to actually you being in the video game. I completely understand that, but that game didn't need to be broken up into 4 parts. I could understand 2 parts. That I could definitely understand for the amount of content that was actually in the story itself. But they kind of stretched that out, in my opinion, for no reason. That's one of the things I'm kind of worried about in the Final Fantasy VII story. But at the same time, we already know how that story progresses, and we'll know definitely if that's what's going to happen. So I can't make that call right now. And I'm not going to bore anybody with that conversation.
I think the issue with episodic titles is, I think we've already mentioned this before, but making them feel like a full game, not like a 1 part, 2 part, 3 part. Make it feel like a full game inside of an episode.
Yeah, obviously that's going to be their biggest problem. But to all these people who say that it can't be or that it shouldn't be, here's what you need to do, right? Imagine I give you the plans for a house, right? And I give you all the supplies for the house. Some you're going to make it out of a log cabin, right? Visenya, I'm going to use you as an example. So here's the plans for a log cabin. Here are all the supplies. Make that house, right? Let's say it takes you a month to make it. Okay? All right. I would now like you to make the same house, right? Same plans and everything. I'm not going to give you any of the supplies, though. I don't want it to be a log cabin. I want it to be an actual, real house. The wirings, the lighting work, the whole 9 yards and stuff like that, right? So you're making a more high-tech house. Can you do it in the same amount of time?
No.
No, you can't. And that's the problem with this game. If they want it to include everything that the original game has and more, but they want it to look as gorgeous as it is, that is not a game that they could realistically put out in the amount of time that we would expect for a game. It's fucking huge. They have to break it up into episodes. It's the only way to do it. Could it still fail?
I don't agree.
It could still fail, yes.
I mean, but here's the thing, Robbie.
I mean, there are games right now that are just regular-sized games that we wait how fucking long for? How long did it take us to get Fallout 4?
Right, but
Aw, thank you, Melky.
But you said, adding extra things. What exactly are they going to add? That's what I'm worried about.
Narrative-wise.
Narrative-wise, that's what I'm concerned with. If they can add something to the story, then I'm all for it. But if it's something like, here we go, Naruto, where they just had filler and nonsensical filler everywhere, I'm not for that. I don't want that.
I'm pretty sure that it's all going
content.
to be narrative wise, and I think that the easiest time to do that actually is in Midgar, because you never actually truly realize what the scope of that game is until you leave Midgar. When I was first playing it, I thought the entire game was going to take place in Midgar, right? And it was just about this evil corporation that you were trying to take down with these resistance fighters, and the next thing you know, you're trying to stop some fucking maniacal, superpowered badass from destroying the fucking world. So I think that the first episode, if it is just, Midgar to the end, is very easy to do as one game and make it feel like a game as well.
I just don't agree with them being able to make it an episodic game, because you have this thing on your hands, Square Enix, where you're going to make money hand over fist.
Well, obviously,
and you're going to tell people
that's not even fair. When people complain about businesses or companies trying to make money, they're just doing well. Of fucking course they are. Above all else, they are a company.
That's not what I'm complaining about. I'm not complaining that they're making money. I'm complaining that they have the means to make this a full game and release it as a full game, but instead they're going the easy route and going, oh no, we're just going to do episodic content? That doesn't sit well with me.
Okay, I'm gonna
sorry,
play
you're a
devil's...
AAA game industry. No. Or
Okay,
a AAA game company.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here for the AAA gaming industry. Now, I don't necessarily believe that this applies to all AAA industries, all AAA developers. But if you think back to about a decade and a half ago, when games would take years to complete, and they would come out well, and nobody really complained too much about the time it took. Nowadays, you have not only more people asking for these amazingly complex games to come out in a shorter amount of time, but you also have the fact that, I just lost my train of thought.
That's all right. Take a moment to get it back. Visenya, have you played Final Fantasy VII?
Yes, I have. I haven't completed it, but I got to the part where Cloud is cross-dressing.
Okay, then no.
You
only got that
okay,
far?
stop. You have not played Final Fantasy VII then. There is no way, let me tell you, it is impossible to make the remake with everything that it had at the scale they want and then release it as a $60 game. That thing would be easily, Skro said, would be a $120 game, alright? Who here has anyone in the call played Final Fantasy 13, the first one?
No.
Nobody.
Yes, and I hated it.
You have. All right. Can you please tell me what side content it had? What could you do as side quests?
Fucking nothing. It was Final Hallway
Fucking
13.
nothing.
Yeah,
No, that's not true.
So
That's not
linear.
true. When you get
The
to
game's playing
hold
itself,
on now,
John.
guys, hold on. When you get to Grand Pulse, you can do the hunt things. You can go around and you can find stuff on the chocobos, and you can make your ultimate weapons, right? That's the side content. If I'm missing anything, somebody go ahead and shout it out in the chat. But that's it. That's your side content, right? I don't know how long it actually takes to do all of that, but it's essentially doing the exact same stuff. Side content was just more battles with no story, talking to those fucking Lassie Stone things, okay? In order to make Final Fantasy VII a full game, the scope of side content alone is fucking insane. If you haven't even played it, I feel like you're not qualified, sorry Minibun, to make this argument that they should just release it as a full game, because you spend more time doing the side quests and the side content than you do the main story by like 10. I put over 1,000 hours into that
Robbie,
game. There is no way you can fit that all into a single game.
Robbie, what I want to know is when did I ever specify a specific price point for it being a full game?
Well, it doesn't matter. When you say a full game, all right. Well, when you say a full game, what does that mean to you then?
A full game is a game with all the content in it. I'm sorry, if people are buying World of Warcraft and spending like shit tons of money for that game, there's no way Final Fantasy VII is a bigger game than World of Warcraft and takes up more.
You can't compare it to an MMO. MMO has been getting content over years and years.
And content-wise. Yes, I can. It doesn't have to be the same genre. Okay?
No, because MMOs are specifically different. You're actually paying a monthly fee to develop an MMO every single month over multiple years. Absolutely, because you know what? An MMO, that's closer to episodic content than anything else that we have. When a patch comes out...
Right, but...
I was talking about memory of the game, though.
Hey,
the memory of World of Warcraft.
But here's the thing, and I think it really has to do with the current atmosphere of gaming, and Robbie, you could definitely agree with me on this. We know how the game goes start to finish, what exactly is in the game, and at the same time, knowing that, we also know that currently the video game climate has way too much things like DLC, or is just interested in trying to shove out games that could possibly be broken, and things like that. We already know that that's like the climate right now. Now, again, I could, like, years down the line, I could be like, yes, this definitely had to be released episodically because this game is insane and I like all the content in it. But you have to agree with me on this, that there are a lot of gaming companies out there that are just, like, throwing needless crap at us that we don't necessarily need.
Absolutely.
And that's my big concern with this. I'm worried, that's just me, I'm just worried that in the end, we're going to get a game filled with content that we don't necessarily need, that it doesn't fit into the narrative of the story. And that's just only me, because, and like you, I know what exactly this game is about, and I know the exact length of it. Now, yes, if you're just doing this general story from start to finish, I could understand that game in today's climate being 2 parts. I have this odd feeling, though, it's going to be a 3-parter. Like, that's just me, though.
It's very, very, very possible that what's going to end up coming out from Square Enix for FF7, is going to suck. I'd say that that's more than likely that it's going to be garbage, and the way that DLC works with things nowadays, I understand everyone's trepidation when it's like, oh, they're really fucking milking this, okay? But if they were to try and release it as a single game, 100% it would fail. Because doing what they want to do, it's impossible to fit that into a game realistically and on a realistic time frame. They have to do it in multiple parts if they want any chance to succeed whatsoever. And I'm not saying that doing it episodically means that it's going to succeed. You're right, Visenya, it could very well just end up being shit. People might play the first part and be like, no, this is bullshit. I want the rest right now. But if they were to try and do it the way that you want to do it, it would either come out 15 years from now and would still suck because they've cut out a bunch of stuff that people want to be in there, or it would just never come out and would be in development forever. Hello, Half-Life 3.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like, the content that it can possibly deliver, I'm sorry, Mr. Jack, I'll let you talk right after I say
It's
this.
okay.
But, like, for instance, like, part 1, like, just being entirely in Midgar, it would be really neat if we can get to know, like, all the members of Avalanche. Like, we barely know about Biggs and Wedge in Final Fantasy VII. So it'd be great if we could get to know their backstory, know, like see Avalanche work in a more cohesive, as a cohesive unit, like, try to build, because, like, a lot of RPGs are just basically about, relationships that you have with, your team members, like, in your party. And, like, if they could build on that and, build some meaningful story around, like, everyone that you're around, I could totally see, like, that kind of content on there. But if it's kind of like bullshit side quests, story time, I don't want that additional content. And that's why I'm hoping they're not trying to milk this out for, multiple discs. That's also another thing of mine. I'm sorry
what
to interrupt
happened?
you, though, Jack. But you want to say something?
Yeah, well, I was going to agree with you on that, is the fact that, okay, the point I was trying to make earlier is the fact that, one, we have a demographic of video game players that now sort of have an expectation of release times of when their game should come out. Two, also consider the fact that they're taking that this original game, this applies directly to Final Fantasy VII. They're taking this game that was obviously amazing in its own right, but they're expanding literally everything about it, graphics-wise, storytelling-wise, everything. And you have to imagine the production costs that go into that sort of thing. Like, if you want to try to just, like, work non-stop on this one ginormous project without, like, any sort of break in between to allow revenue to come in, that could end up bankrupting your company, because you might not necessarily have the money to put forward to get all of this done in one go.
I don't
like
think that's
a
a
company
problem
like
for
Square Enix. Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think that's a problem for Square Enix.
Well, see,
I mean,
even a
No,
company like
'cause
Square
Square can-
Enix.
They develop multiple games at one time anyways. Like, that's not an
Yeah,
argument.
plus...
yeah,
in my opinion.
we're talking about the company that bought multiple other gaming companies and still was developing content.
Yeah, you have to remember too that at one point Square Enix was also, we talked about this in the last Final Encounter cast, that Square Enix is, one of those companies that, up till now was also pushing hardware and, like, technology itself and investing in stuff like that. So there is no shortage of money for Square Enix. And if at some point the games were costing more to make than they were pulling in, I think that they would just can it.
Yeah, not to mention, and I
themselves
hate saying this, they're using the Unreal Engine. That engine's been around forever. Like, it's easy to develop a game, not easy, but it's easier for gaming companies to develop a game for that engine. Like, it's not like they're using the Crystal Tools engine, which pretty much fell flat on its face because they didn't utilize it except for 13 versus... I mean, I'm not 13 versus, I'm sorry, 13, 13.2, 13.3, and then the original iteration of Final Fantasy XIV before Realm Reborn came out. Like, they originally had that game planned for 13, 14, and what is now 15, and that never happened. That didn't entirely happen.
Visenya, you were saying something before Ray interrupted you for Mr. Jack.
I apologize about that, by the way.
No apologize.
No, don't apologize. I just, like I've said in the chat, episodic content just doesn't sit well with me. I really don't like episodic content in video games. I really don't like the fact that Hitman is coming out, also by Square Enix, and is going to be episodic content. That's bullshit. I can see more of an argument with Final Fantasy VII, but I would rather it be, like, in multiple discs released at the same time than episodic. And they've been working on this for a long time. It's not... Like, it's not an argument you can make to say that, oh, it won't in 15 years or whatever, because it will be. It'll be out probably in 2 or 3 years as a full game. But they're releasing it in episodic content as well, and that bothers me. It doesn't sit well with me whenever I can buy a game, play half of it, and the next half comes out and is utter shit.
Again, it depends on what you consider to be a full game. Because if this first one comes out and you get 60 hours out of it, are you still going to say, nah, that's bullshit? That was only a third of a game because I didn't get the full story, even though you put as much time into it as you would any other single-player RPG. That's a full game.
I want to say that the reasoning, another part of the reasoning for why they're doing this is because it might be sort of an attention grab. Because aside from Final Fantasy XIV and a few of the other games that they, a few of the other IPs they run, aside from like Kingdom Hearts 3 coming out, which they've been dragging that along for God knows how long, and Final Fantasy 15 coming out, you gotta wonder if maybe they might be paranoid about losing their relevance.
Nah, I don't know. That's
Probably.
another discussion all its own. But we have come to the end of our show here. Now, before I wrap it up, Ray, you had mentioned earlier when we were talking before the show that you had a little like outro thing you kind of wanted to do. Is that still relevant, or would that have been more for your segment?
Oh, it would have been for the segment. So yeah, you don't need to worry about that.
My apologies. Well, next time then.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, Ray, otherwise known as Shinta-Sin, for joining us tonight. You guys will hopefully be seeing him a lot more with his hashtag content or bullshintery, whatever the hell we ended up calling it. Mr. Jack, thank you for coming into the call today and fucking up our flow. But thank you for your.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't have any time to prepare. Nobody told me I was going to get called.
Well, you know what? That's the way that it happens sometimes. You don't necessarily know that you're going to get called. All right. So if you're here on the show, there's a good chance that you could be called. So just keep that in mind and be prepared. And if you're interested possibly being on the show, my Skype is down there, LBR_Kahlo. Go ahead and add me. Let me know who you are from the chat. And the way that this works is throughout the different weeks when I'm streaming and stuff, sometimes I bring people into the call. And if you're on my Skype, I'll bring you in every once in a while to see if you're going to be good material on the air or not. And then you could end up being on a show. So that's supposed to be one of the draws of the show, is that anybody on the chat could potentially end up coming in here and chatting with us for a while.
Yeah.
And Minibun, thank you as always.
You still love me.
Got a little heated there. No, you're a youngin'. You don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, hush.
What do you have?
Close to being triggered.
What do you have Final Fantasy VII for? Did you have it like on PlayStation?
Yeah.
Okay,
I had it on PlayStation. I didn't get to play it that much because it was my cousin's PlayStation, not my own.
I'm very likely going to buy you Final Fantasy VII on Steam
Lord.
force you to play it. So
Actually, no, don't buy it for her on Steam. Do you have a PlayStation 4, Visenya?
No, I don't.
Oh, I was about to say,
I bought
because
my boyfriend an Xbox One instead.
PlayStation 4 has this great feature on it that I hope they put in their other ports going forward, where you can speed it up. Like, you can just speed up the flow into the combat, the combat movements and everything like that. What?
You don't need that. You don't need that. All right, everyone in the chat, 38 of you. At one time, I think we had 49, almost 50, so that's cool. Getting people in the late night show. I think what we're going to do, I think the late night show is going to be every 2 weeks, because we kind of missed 2 weeks already, and next weekend I'm going to see Deadpool on Saturday with a girl.
Nice.
Same here.
So there will be
with a girl?
With a girl, yes, with a girl.
I was asking Visenya.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm going with Boy Button. That's going to be our Valentine's Day weekend.
See, everyone should be going to see
2
Deadpool
weeks.
for Valentine's Day.
In 2 weeks, I will be going to MagFest, which not sure if Nico's going to be going to that either. But
she always goes to that. So. Yeah.
All right, I'll be bringing my mic anyway, so I can hit you guys up for an hour.
Well, cool. Thank you, everybody, again, for joining us. Make sure you spread the word about the Late Late Show if you enjoyed this. It will be made a highlight and exported to YouTube at some point, so I would appreciate it if you push it around to everybody.
One little thing?
Of course you can, Minibun.
I would probably feel the same way as you do, Robbie, if they were remaking Final Fantasy VI. Completely remaking it.
Exactly.
I probably would.
So, thank you everyone once again for joining us here. I'm going to now start kicking people out of the call so they don't start talking when I put it down and it's just music up. Goodbye, Ray. Goodbye, Mr. Jack. And, bye, Minibun.
Goodbye, Robbie.
Yep. All right, good night, everyone in chat. Thank you for joining us here tonight at the Late Show. Enjoy some music for a little while, guys.